Well, I wasn't going to do a video on this radio, but I figured, what the hell. I'm kind of at a stopping point right now. I'm waiting on some parts to come in the mail, as always. It's always something you need for these radios that you don't have in your stash. I don't care how many parts you have. It seems like it's always something that you don't have. But anyway, this is a Firestone. Yes, I did say Firestone. Firestone Tire and Rubber Company did make their own radios from about the mid-30s to the late 50s. This is a Firestone Airchief 4A30 console tube radio from 1947. This was a higher end model during that year. It's a 10 tube set, which is a pretty high tube count for that late. You know, anything post-war, most of the time a lot of the chassis were probably 5 or 6 tubes, and that was about it. But this is a 10 tube model, and in some of the advertisements that I've found online for them, it was denoted as a higher end model, so it's probably not the highest model. It does have an optional FM and phonio hookup to it, so it's definitely, you know, into the FM era, which is, you know, late 40s. Anyway, so I'm waiting on 2 tubes to come in for the set. It's missing two 6 SK7 tubes in it. I have already pulled this chassis out and started working on it. I did recap some of it. I went ahead and changed the filter capacitors on it, and went ahead and started changing some of the bypass capacitors and tone capacitor and stuff like that, trying to get a jump on it while the parts come in. It will be needing a new dial string. The dial string on it's broken, of course. That's one of my least favorite projects to do, and it seems like I've had quite a few radios lately, you know, with the dial strings broken. So anyway, I had some dial string on order anyway, because I've done several radios lately that the dial string was broke on, so I decided to go ahead and order 25 foot of it. So hopefully that'll be here fairly soon. But I picked this radio up for $20. It was listed online, believe it or not, Craigslist. Somebody actually had a decent price on one of these old radios. Every time I ever see them in there, you know, well, you can pretty much, most everybody on there wants at least $100 for one, which is just ridiculous. But anyway, the inside of the chassis got a date code of the 218th day of 1947 inside of it, so that's how I know it's definitely from 1947. I've gotten some conflicting information online about this model. Some say 1946, and you know, some say even as late as 1949. But now the schematic listed in the rider, the schematic listed for it in riders, it wasn't published until 1949. So anyway, well, I guess we'll wait on the parts to come in and we'll finish this video. Also going to add that it's a standard AM broadcast band and 2 shortwave bands from about 6 megahertz up to 15.5 megahertz. Kind of surprised it doesn't start until 6 megahertz. A lot of them go down to 3 megahertz, but this one starts at 6. And it's got your automatic push buttons in here for your for your presets. And I've got the knobs there up here. But I had them off to be able to get the chassis out, and when I first started, you know, working on this set, you know, I went to go apply power after changing the filter capacitors on it, and after checking the power transformer, the tube tried to self implode and go into self-destruct mode. Put it like this: there was a bunch of fireworks inside that tube. Okay, we have our replacement tubes for the Firestone radio here. There are two 6 SK7s here. Okay, we have our new tubes installed. So, we got our new tubes, one here and one here. Both of them are supposed to be IF tubes. So, anyway, we got our filter capacitor replaced, and several other suspect caps, and everything's been kind of checked over. So let's see if let's apply power, see if it comes on or blows up. Well, we have tubes lighting up. We just got a little bit of tubes lighting. Yeah, they're all lighting up. These are so dusty you can't hardly see them. No sound. Strangely enough, no dial lights either. Well, I couldn't get the radio to produce any sound, so I started checking tubes and checking tube sockets and stuff, and I had one that had really corroded pins on it, so I tried to clean those, and then I started checking these tubes, and these things are beyond weak. I mean, this one's coming in at a little bit over 20%, about 20 or 25%. This is an audio output tube. One of the 4 audio output tubes in this unit is a 6K6. In this case, it's a 6K6 GT. It's an original tube, a Firestone tube, and yeah, they've played the hell out of this thing and just worn it out. So definitely going to need some 6K6s, but before I put the money into it, I'd rather go ahead and get the set working first. So I'm going to check a few more and see if these things, how dead these things are. Well, here's another Firestone Airchief tube. The same 6K6 output tube. This one's a little bit better. It's still in the replace category in the 40% range. I mean, that should make a sound. I mean, it should. I wouldn't think that would prevent it from working. So, but yeah, these tubes are definitely played to death. You couldn't even rob tubes out of this thing if it was a part set. And here's a Philco 6K6. This one's obviously was a replacement at one time. At least it's in the green. It's not strong in the green, but it's something. It's better than what I've been getting way down in the replace area. It's about 65%. Okay, well I can't remember where we left off on this video. It's been a few weeks since I've been able to get back on this Firestone console tube radio, but I got it playing finally. We ended up having a open voice coil on the speaker, so I ended up having to jump this 8-inch speaker over here on top over to the voice coil section on the speaker setup, and we ended up having a couple of bad tubes, the rectifier tube being one of them. These two tubes were missing. I got those, you know, put in and everything, and it lit up or whatever, and I got nothing because of the open voice coil. And then I had a loose connection, you know, dirty tube socket going from the AF circuit into the amplifier circuit. But anyway, so we got her playing now.
The Republican Party is a very precious thing. And
still going to have to restring this tuner. So I'm going to have to get the dial string diagram on that. I got these backlights replaced. 247 number 47 dial light bulbs were blown. This radio probably had like 1 billion hours on it. You can tell by the tops of these tubes they have got quite a bit of hours on them, but it had a rusty old 6SJ7 right there. I replaced that one. It was reading, you know, about 20% on the tube tester, and really all in all the tubes in this radio were pretty weak anyway. Thing really needs a set of audio output tubes, but you know, this set has 4 tubes in it. I think it's got 6 S6s in it right now. 6 V6s it's got in it. Originally had 4 6 S6s, I believe. Nope, has 6 K6s. Originally had 4 6 K6s. It's got 4 6 V6s in it now. Of course, you can't get 6 K6s anymore, as they don't, you know, they quit making those quite a number of years ago. And the replacement or substitute was these 6 V6s. So, but most of those need to be replaced because they're pretty weak anyway, but it is playing. I didn't want to invest in any tubes until I got the problem solved, and I'm probably going to have to send this speaker off to somewhere that rebuilds speakers. Not really sure where I'm going to do that to, but it's got an open voice coil in it, so the voice coil on that speaker ain't no good, and I don't have no junk speakers around here. That's one thing that kind of is hard to come by, is the speakers. At least for me it is. But we got it playing, so I guess I'm going to have to move on to other things that's wrong with it. The dial string being the first order of business to try and get done. And I'm probably going to end up having to hook up a signal generator to it and try to get it lined up. Because even though it is picking up stations, it's mainly only the ones that's close by. Distant stations really don't hardly come in, even with a wire antenna hooked up. So, you know, that could be. I'm not really completely done with replacing all the capacitors in it. That may help some of the reception, but I'm thinking more just needs to be lined up, aligned. Okay, well, that's what's going on with the radio so far. Okay, on this speaker I was noticing that up and behind this power transformer on this terminal strip. I don't know, for some reason I'm just not getting enough light to do this, but that wire that goes from the speaker cone to this terminal strip was broke off right here, so I had to jump it over with a regular piece of wire here. So hopefully that'll get this speaker playing again. We'll find out here in a minute whenever I put this power transformer or output transformer, mount it back on the speaker and hook it back up to the radio and see if it works. Well, we now have audio. That's always a good thing.
As early as 2008,
we're just gonna have to patch the speaker up and try to use it as is. Got a hole in it right there, but
there's a tape of Rosen asking the then
that'll have to do because
Jen Psaki, whether the
you know, getting these speakers rebuilt is anywhere from probably $50 to $75 plus shipping. So I'd like to try to use the speaker, you know, like it is until the budget allows, maybe. But at least we do have it working, so that's definitely a good sign for now. So we have audio from the original speaker. Okay, this radio is recapped.
Para todo el mundo, nuestra América.
Now, I had to rig up a needle for it. Had to rig up a needle for it. It's the one I had in my junk box. It's not long enough, but it's gonna have to do for now until I can find a better one, I guess. And of course this is on shortwave. Can't really pick up a lot here during the daytime on AM. Or really even shortwave, because it's so little on shortwave anymore. About all you really pick up is like these religious stations. That's about it. And then some Spanish. Not much on the lower end of the band. I think we're ready to go back in the cabinet, really.
Asociación de Técnicos Agrícolas y Forestales del Ministerio de Artemisa en la provincia del mismo nombre sobre los objetivos de trabajo para este año.
Saludos a toda América Latina.
Well, back in the cabinet playing.
A todas las mujeres que luchan cada día. En México, el origen de la conmemoración del Día de las Madres es poco conocido. Sin embargo, en este 2016 se cumplen 94 años de ser festejado. La convocatoria inicial por institucionalidad el Día de la Madre en el país fue emitida el 13 de abril de 1922 por el periodista Rafael Bedoya, fundador del periódico Excelsior, y fue festejado por primera vez el 10 de mayo de ese mismo año. Para dar a conocer la demográfica de las madres en México, el Instituto Nacional de Estadística y Geografía, INEGI, integra el presente documento con información acerca de las mujeres con hijos nacidos vivos. De acuerdo con los datos de la encuesta intersecenal, el número de mujeres de 12 y más años es de 48.7 millones, y de ellas el 67.8
The same Spanish station coming in several times across the dial. Someday I'm gonna get around to refinishing this cabinet. That'd be a job, or at least trying to save the original finish. I don't know if that's gonna be possible. Nobody's home on that band. Like the antennas, that built-in antenna just isn't enough. Well, there it is, the 1947 Firestone Airchief 4A30, playing once again, probably for the first time in about 50 years. Hopefully it'll keep on playing for another 50 years. I just want to cut back in. I got a little bit better antenna hooked up to it. Sounds a lot stronger and louder now. Thanks for watching.